And Akuni, you are in Zunapur.
Yeah, Akuni, you know, or Raja Mircha, you know, these flavors were so new for me. And since I like to cook, I actually have included all these things in my palette, and maybe I'll come up with some sort of a South Indian Naga fusion. I never know, like, so it's been great, yeah.
Okay. Hello everyone, tonight we have a special guest and we are going to talk a different genre tonight. We have been talking about politics and social issues for quite a long time. But for today, we need to bring different guests and try out a new genre, and they have come back with a lot of new experience here in Nagaland. And my guests tonight are not from Nagaland, and they have come from mainland India. And they have come here for a certain purpose, which they will introduce themselves later. So thank you guys for joining me. So I think before we begin, can you guys introduce yourself?
My name is Sukanya, and I'm the Mahatma Gandhi National Fellow, working closely with the district administration in the skill development sector for the district. Mm-hmm. So I've been posted here since November 2021.
Yeah.
2021.
Okay.
And she's my counterpart, actually. Yeah.
I'm Priyanka Kumar, and I'm from Tamil Nadu, posted in Zunapur district, which is the center or the nucleus of Nagaland, let's just say that. Like she mentioned, we're here from the Ministry of Skill Development, and we work in the capacity of social consultants and researchers. We try to design and implement projects in skill development and for livelihood promotion and entrepreneurship development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My name is Rishi, and I'm working in the social development sector here also with the Department of School Education, Government of Nagaland. Mm-hmm. And so far my work involves basically working with the government and designing some of the interventions which are planned under the funds of the government.
Okay. So Sukanya, you're from which state?
I'm from UP.
From UP.
Yeah.
So all of you are coming to Nagaland for the first time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Before you start your work, had you ever been to Nagaland?
This was definitely my first time.
Yeah.
I remember I was taking a trip to Guwahati by train. We were coming from Delhi, and the train actually crosses Dimapur. So I think I just crossed Dimapur station, but once I arrived in Nagaland, I realized Dimapur is just the beginning, and the rest of Nagaland follows from there.
Okay, so before we delve much deeper into their experience, I want to give a special shout out to Aspire Academy. And this episode is sponsored by Aspire Academy. It is a coaching institute for NPSC Civil Service Examination. And they offer a very special course, and they are specialized in designing course for NPSC as well as NSSB. And they're based in Dimapur, plus they offer one-stop solution for NPSC Civil Service exam, which is for mains, interview, and prelims. So if you are wondering, or if you have the aspiration to crack the Civil Service exam for NPSC, Nagaland Public Service Commission, please think about and consider this Aspire Academy. And we don't need to talk about what is Aspire Academy. But if you want to know more about them, please check the description, and there will be a track record of how effective they have been in delivering the course and delivering the mentorship for the students and aspirants. Thank you so much. So I think that most of you are like here in Nagaland for the first time.
Yes.
So what specifically I would like to know is, before you came to Nagaland, when you heard of the word Nagas and Nagaland, what came to your mind?
So for me, actually this is again my very first time in Nagaland.
Yeah.
And as she mentioned, it is quite different from Dimapur, and Kohima is actually quite congenial in terms of amenities which are present here. Mm-hmm. But being working in Kifre has painted a different sort of picture for me. So before coming to Nagaland, I actually deliberately opted for Nagaland because I wanted to experience everything and coming from UP, but yet again I have been blessed with having an exposure of being here in northeastern side of states. So for me, I came with an open mind and I came without an expectations, and Nagaland has just wowed me over the 1.5 year.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very similar actually. I had been desiring, we were discussing before also, I had been desiring to live in an atmosphere which was calm, you know, and peaceful, and where people actually lived, you know, in one with the environment that they inhabit. And that was the kind of peace I was looking for. Obviously, I was looking at the work aspect as well. I wanted to enter the social sector. And when I came here, I learned so much actually. And yeah, it's been a great experience. And I mean, I was actually wondering, one wonders why the place is called Nagaland, right?
Yeah, okay,
And the meaning of the word Naga. And over my interactions in Zuneboto so far, we haven't arrived at a meaning. Actually, the word Nagaland, I mean, the word Naga especially does not necessarily have a reference like for the people who live here, you know?
Yeah. Because of like so many flavors of like different tribes which resides in Nagaland. So even the language changes so drastically that we don't have a particular definition of Nagaland. But then again, we can see the closeness of nature that and that whole the way of life,
the synergy,
the synergy in the way of life is there, which actually combines all these different practices within different tribes also. So I think, yeah, that will be my take on that.
It was a bit abstract.
It's okay. I think we'll come down to more concrete conversation as we go on.
No, I think Ransom, Sukanya and Priyanka very nicely summed it up. So even this is also my first time in Nagaland, and yes, I did hear lots of things from people around me that the general image which is created that it's a backward state, and then economic status, and economic status is not pretty good. The food habits are unique.
Unique. Very diplomatic.
The food habits are very unique. They're very different from the rest of the places. But then definitely after coming here, I would like to say that you guys are, I mean, the Naga people and the state as a whole is very rich in terms of many other aspects in which the rest of the country lacks. You guys are very hospitable. It is really, the people are, first of all, yes, the level of education is really high, and that is very commonplace. It's not like you have to sit with a specific bunch of people to have an intellectual exchange. Many people speak very nicely. They know, they have very good etiquettes. I've worked across the country, so I very strongly vouch for these aspects. And food habits, well, I'm also getting used to it, so that's nothing very different.
Yeah, great. So before you came here, when your friends or when your relatives got to hear the news that Rishi is going to Nagaland or Priyanka is going to Nagaland, Suganya is going to Nagaland, did anyone warn you, really, are you going to Nagaland? Are you not concerned? Are you not scared? Did such apprehension like surface within the conversation? Or what was your apprehension itself?
I mean, surprisingly, my parents were actually pretty supportive of the idea. They wanted me to expose myself to a new space, you know, and work in a place where the impact would actually be useful and visible, right? And where there, I mean, I actually felt when I was coming to Nagaland that this is a land of opportunities. So this is a place where, let's say, not many typical initiatives or parts of development have been taken so far, right? So it actually allows you a chance to develop a completely novel narrative in, let's say, sustainable development or other aspects, right? So it allows a great opportunity for you to experience and sort of innovate and maybe try and implement things that you can do here. So parents were very supportive. But yeah, friends, let's say, were a little apprehensive on the work front, right? Like as like how much are you going to be able to do there, or things like that did come up, of course.
So before that, was it your choice to choose Nagaland?
Yeah, it was my first choice. Actually, we had,
really?
yeah, we had.
What made you choose Nagaland? I mean, I want to know what made you choose Nagaland. I mean, there is Manipur, there is Meghalaya, there's Arunachal. Why Nagaland?
Yeah, that's
Okay, you can think about it, but anyone who is like,
No, I think to me it didn't come as such a strong limitation of choice. It was almost as if that was the first option which was given to me and I grabbed it with both hands. because firstly, the Nagaland, I had heard about Hornbill Festival before coming over here. So of course, whenever you're going to some place, you try to find the most important highlight of that place. So yes, Hornbill Festival was one thing, but then later on when I did some online reviews and everything, I found that this place has got a very good climate. This place has got very nice people. There, as Priyanka was saying, there is a lot of room for it. This place offers a lot of room for creating opportunities. So, and I wanted to work in this space. I had worked in other states in India also, but they are more or less doing well. I mean, one can definitely say it from a relative term, but this is a place which is like completely open. It's like fresh real estate for opportunities. That was one thing. And lastly, I am a mountain guy. I wanted to work in a hill state for a very long time, and that also coincided with the fact that I also wanted to work in a state in Northeast. So yeah, when I was given the choice, I just went for it.
I think we'll go down one step at, into detail, one step at a time. I think that's a very I think you all have been praising Nagaland so much, like for quite some time, and you know that there is development deficit in most of the northeastern states. As you can see, the light has just gone off. That shows like we are not lying audience. We are in Nagaland, and the light just went off. So it's fine. We can still continue the discussion. So Sukanya, you are being from UP.
Yeah.
I mean the northern belt.
Yes.
Like we have that. I mean there is one stereotype for the people from Bihar, UP, who would not be maybe able to adjust with the lifestyle here, because like here is a hardcore non-vegetarian, the Nagas, and that side, many people or most of the people are vegetarian.
Yes, that's very true.
Are you struggling, or are you yourself what?
I hope my mom doesn't see this episode.
I mean, she should see.
I've been a vegetarian since my, I was born in a family where we have vegetarian food all along. And so relatively now, I think it has become easier for the vegetarian people to come here in the northeastern state and have like vegetables, and all these things are readily available now. Talk about like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when my father was posted here in the northeast. It was a very difficult time back then. But then as well, my family, like the nuclear family that we have, we continue to be a vegetarian. So it never actually hampered in terms of coming here to the northeast and having this differences in food habits. Because if you want to continue to do something, you'll find a means and ways for it.
Yeah.
Right. But then again, there have been certain like very heated discussion with my friends about especially the different sort of different sort of palette that Nagaland has, and so I had a very heated discussion, debate about that, defending that this is the way of life, and you cannot say that just because you don't eat certain kind of things, people can't do that, or this is wrong, or there are certain standards to it. So in an essence, I would say whosoever is planning to come to Nagaland, whosoever is staying in Nagaland, they have to have an open and broad mindset in order to understand what their food habit is. And if you want to explore, your Nagaland has been like more than welcoming for that. It's like, you should try this. A lot of people like in my district offers me a lot of things like try this, try that, since you're here in Nagaland, experience. So again, if you are vegetarian, you can actually survive quite well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a largely agrarian society, as we know, right?
Yes.
So there is a variety of produce here. In fact, the quality of produce is much higher than so many other parts because of the lack of fertilizer usage and
Yeah, I
pesticides being
agree.
used here. So I have actually, I'm a vegetarian and I've still managed to stay vegetarian over 1.5 years.
I see.
So I get plenty of vegetables, actually seasonal vegetables, you know, gifted to me from people's farms. Like that's a regular excitement in my life. And I have tried things I have never tried before. For example, yongchak. I never knew I can eat monkey beans, like as it is called, or
We call it stinky beans.
stinky beans, and roselle, you know, or
And akuni, you are in Zunapado.
yeah, akuni, you
Yeah.
know, or raja mircha, you know, these flavors were so new for me. And since I like to cook, I actually have included all these things in my palate, and maybe I'll come up with some sort of a South Indian Naga fusion. I never know, like, so it's been great, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
How's your experience?
I mean, I just wanted to say that we're living in very modern times. Food is not at all a barrier. Again, I would like to say to everyone watching the video that just I mean, out of all things, please put food as the last thing to
To be worried about.
judge, be worried about, or keep as a deciding factor for coming to Nagaland. It's nothing like that.
Exactly. I think we should be adventurous enough to learn new culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is no better culture. There is no, worse culture. I mean, we have to respect the uniqueness of every culture.
Yeah.
Because you being from the south, if you go to UP, you'll find a lot of things which you don't want to accept if you
Of
are not
course, yeah,
sensitized
yeah,
enough,
yeah.
right? And me going to UP, not being able to find any meat or non-vegetarian food,
Yeah.
I mean, that cannot be a cultural shock anymore.
Yeah.
Because we know the diversity, the nature of diversity in our country. So, in fact, we are blessed with this diversity.
Yeah.
Imagine European country; they all eat the same food, same thing everywhere
Yeah,
without any colors.
Right.
But thanks to India, the diversity. Going to the south, you feel like you're going to a different country, and Nagaland has the characteristic of a totally different country as well.
That's
I mean, not trying to be going against the Union of India or some political thing, but culturally we have that differences, and it's a blessing rather than a curse, right? It's not a problem at all. So we should imbibe this and enjoy it. So
No, it just adds to the cultural richness.
Exactly.
richness,
of
yeah,
this
exactly,
country.
exactly. I mean, food is so central to everybody's identity,
Yeah.
especially in a tropical country like India. You know, every 100 kilometers, the food, the palate is changing
Yes,
completely,
yes.
and I think everybody is allowed to celebrate their identity, right? So, similarly,
It is also linked to the history. You have to look at the historical angle of how the food has been derived.
yeah.
Right? Some places where the oceans and the seas are there,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
will
yeah.
definitely have more fish over there. Some places which don't have that, you will have rice or wheat-based food items like we have in the northern belt. In Nagaland, for example, neither the sea is there, and on top of that, it's a hill state.
Yeah.
So, which was full of wilderness. That's why, and also it was also secluded historically.
Yeah.
So people were completely, they still are completely dependent on the forests and natural availability of sources of consumption.
I think
Since historically, that's how
Nagas
the
are a
food has-
tribal ethnic group,
Yeah.
and tribals are the guardian of nature.
Yeah.
And we live closely to nature, very close to nature.
Right.
And some of you have mentioned about the organic producers
Yeah.
due to lack of fertilizers.
Yeah.
So if fertilizers come like the way it has come in UP,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
in the southern side, definitely all these things can also like disappear slowly, right? But leaving that aside now, Nagaland is known for safety when it comes to safety for women, and National Safety Bureau record, whatever name it is, they have done a survey and they say that Nagaland is considered the safest for women because it has the least recorded number of crimes. And people are also debating for the fact that not because crime does not happen in Nagaland against women, but it's least reported. That's why hardly there is any data. So the government thinks that, okay, it's the safest place for women.
Yeah.
Now, I want to understand from your experience, especially the two of you being women, how do you feel Do you feel secure, like in Nagaland as a woman?
Yeah, actually, I feel extremely safe. I mean, I was living in Delhi before this. I mean, Delhi has its own positives and negatives, but you know, sexual crime, sexual violence has been extremely high there. So, relative to that, like coming to a Kohima has been so liberating. Let's just say, because I can like walk around being without being leched upon or without being ogled at, and you know, there is less occurrences of I don't know, sexual harassment, let's just say. And generally, but I wouldn't say that there isn't crime, right, or violence. Like that definitely happens, but let's say gendered violence on a daily basis is very low in recurrence. Like on a daily, when I conduct myself every day, I don't have to think about that. You know, I don't have to think about what I'm wearing or whether somebody is looking at me, you know. But at the same time, I mean, let's say in my district, there are cases of domestic abuse or, you know, things like that which do go underreported, like you've mentioned, you know, and so yeah, that's two sides of the coin. But on a daily basis, yeah, I do feel much safer, you know, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but in relative terms, it is better for sure. And especially Kohima, actually. Kohima is feels very safe, and even I think very late in the night, I could walk around and there wouldn't be.
And has anyone called you by names, catcalling? Like, have you ever faced that by the locals?
Never here. Never
Here in Nagaland.
I mean, again, like you know, because see, Nagaland is so diverse in itself, right? Yeah. I mean, there are 16, let's say, recognized tribes along which districts are divided, and beyond that, like so many others which are not, which do not have their own spaces, and so many linguistic groups. So you can't generalize, I feel, over the entire Nagaland always, you know. Yeah, there have been catcalling, to be honest, like back in my district, but it has been very manageable. Like it's been almost innocent. I mean, I'm not going to, it's not been something which I've felt very threatened by. Yeah, it's happened, yeah, definitely.
Obviously.
So, for me, the story is pretty similar, that Nagaland actually feels much safer, as I also studied in Delhi, and Delhi has its own...
Sets the bar a little low.
Yeah. So, yeah, even if I'm working, let's say 11 in the night, so I don't have to think twice, or I don't have to think that I have to call my friends, you know, to drop me home or something like that. I can just work alone. And there had been instances where I've been working late in the office, like till 10, 11 because of some work. So I don't feel like, you know, safety is that much of a concern. But yet again, as it is, so what I do feel like, it is also about making people understand what exactly is harassment, what exactly is sexual violence, and all these like little maneuver that female gender actually faces on a day-to-day basis, and they don't even realize that they should not be, you know, they should not be
navigating these spaces like so carefully.
So those things, I think, needs that sensitization needs to be there, because I would say this Nagaland being such a closed community, and the tribe and tribes living like in a very closed, like it's very, the community is like very closely knit. So it's a double-edged sword.
Definitely.
Right. So it has its own positives. The negative also being that even if somebody has faced something like that, so they don't tend to report that, because they are somebody that they know, or somebody at a higher status, or somebody, you know, in that community, which is
hierarchies.
Very hierarchies in that. So especially in that sense, women faces certain things that they just accept the way that it is. So that is something that I have observed. But yet again, relatively, Nagaland is much safer place.
I mean, people from Nagaland are not angels. So, you know, we have to come down to the reality that anyway, at the end of the day, we are human beings. But relatively, there is a place which we consider safer. And for me, Mumbai seems much safer than Delhi.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
because
true.
I've lived in Mumbai and people can just travel on train
Yeah.
late night 11
Yeah.
a.m. 11 p.m. But in Delhi, it's a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to learn that there is an experience that you have faced people calling your names because you are a woman, but not to the level of threatening your life
Yeah.
or I mean just
Exactly.
catching hold
Yeah.
of your time. I mean I want such facts also like from you as a woman, But Rishi, I mean in your case, you know how Delhi is, and you have been like living in Delhi, since your childhood. How are the people here to you? I mean, when you walk down the street, because if I walk down in the street in Delhi or anywhere, there is high chance of people calling me Jinky.
There is,
Or
unfortunately.
has anyone called you names here?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. More than that, people when they got the chance over here, many a times I keep regularly taking the taxi over here. So probably the different cab drivers are one group of people who I've had the highest interactions with
Yeah.
in terms of mingling with the public. So it is the curiosity which they always display with regard to where I am from, why am I here, how am I finding Nagaland. That is that approach which they take towards initiating a conversation with me is of such high etiquettes. It represents I mean, that's actually a very normal way of starting a conversation. But given how things are in many parts of the other parts of the country, it almost seems like it can't get better than that. It's something very idealistic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean since I haven't
yeah,
faced
yeah.
too many
Right.
cases of
Yeah.
you can say violent whatever
Mm.
interactions.
So-
So this is the
yeah.
one which I can maybe take as an example.
Great. So in short, you have not faced any such harassment or
Of
problem
course
here.
not. Of
I mean,
course not.
that's good to know. At the end of the day, women are more vulnerable to this
Yeah.
than men, So that's the fact that remains to all of us again. So now we have literally discussed on many areas, and it's quite interesting to hear and understand your lived experiences in the state of Nagaland, especially with the tribals in your respective districts. And Priyanka being from Zunebodo district, I mean, you're placed there in Zunebodo district, and Sukanya in Gifri district.
Yeah.
You know the people there, and you know the kind of tribal living in that district. Now you have come here as a Mahatma Gandhi National Fellow, and your mission is to do something about skill development. Now, please tell me what is the ground situation of the youth, the skill development, because unemployment rate is very, very high here. So, from your insights of your almost more than 1 year right now,
Yes. 1
Yeah.
year, 5 months.
yeah, you have been there in your district for 1 year and 5 months. How are the youth? How are the people there in terms of skill?
I think when it comes to skill development, we actually started the conversation from the S of skill development, right? So, I
Okay.
mean, as Mahatma Gandhi National Fellows, I think we were the first ones who kind of drew the attention to skill development in our respective districts, Zuneboto and Kifri. Let's say in a Kohima or a Dimapur, it has been happening, right?
Yeah.
There have been avenues, there has been opportunities.
Yes.
But when you go further east, opportunities become less accessible, and institutions are non-existent sometimes. The infrastructure is missing. So in terms of that, some areas of Nagaland, the western Nagaland, has been had access to more development in terms of skilling infrastructure. And I think when we have, as MGNF, when we've come, we've actually started the conversation about skill development. So I mean, awareness programs, actually most people don't really know about the schemes that they can benefit from in skilling, or the institutions or the courses which are actually available for absolutely free, right, which are available to them. So large scale awareness programs, and revitalizing the district skills committee, which was basically our main agenda, if I'm talking very technically. The main thing is that people think of skilling as something that can happen in bits and pieces.
Okay.
But we were there with the mission to converge, right, different sectors and bring together this conversation of skilling across different aspects, like different, like let's say, be it agriculture or handicrafts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or construction or like how do you bring this together and build this kind of synergy where everything happens hand in hand?
Yeah.
So I mean, for example, without giving entrepreneurship training, right? If you just skill a person in food processing, just taking a basic example, since it's an agrarian economy, food processing has been a big focus. So if these two don't go hand in hand, I mean, a skilled individual basically has no employment opportunity, right? So I mean, we've tried to create that kind of synergy in the place. I think that's what we've done, and we help, I mean, with credit linkages, right, to small entrepreneurs, and we're trying really hard. Actually, it's been quite challenging, to be honest, to mobilize and to move, and because we work with the district administration,
Yeah.
and it's not specific to Nagaland, right? But
Yes.
the bureaucracy can be a little difficult to
Everywhere.
yeah, a little difficult to push in any direction. So as you know, outsiders who have just come into this sector as research fellows, you know, with not much prior experience, we've also taken time to build that sort of command and respect so that people will start believing in our ideas and maybe share the vision.
True.
Yeah.
I think I want to ask, since Priyanka has, given the brief of, what you guys are up to,
Yeah.
and you may have a different experience or different nature of work. Are the Nagas skilled enough, or how raw it is?
So I would say there, when you talk about skilling in general, right? So as she mentioned that even if we skill somebody and if we don't provide either an avenue for a job opportunity
Yes.
or a sustainable livelihood through entrepreneurship, right? So those skill training has no impact whatsoever, right? So first thing first, as she's mentioned, that awareness is very crucial, and for that departments do create this awareness program and all, but it always lacks an action point after the awareness. For instance, if I have given you an awareness about a particular scheme, then is there any point of contact that I'm giving you for you to reach out to me and for you to do something about that? What if you already have been skilled in certain things and you want to understand what to do further down the line? There is no such hand-holding support which is existing there in the district, in any of the district for that matter. So those sort of linkages which are missing has been one of the major road blockage in terms of taking the skill development to a livelihood opportunity. And so far what we have been trying to do, since it is like we are trying to converse different departments, because skill is not a stand-alone phenomenon.
Yes.
And so we have to think from the ideation stage to training to mobilization, facilitation to market linkages. Market linkages again a very, very like a major issue, because even if you are producing something, unless you don't have a market for it, there's no incentive for you to produce anything. Right? So again, this becomes a very important discussion, and planning needs to be done thoroughly in terms to identify and focus on those areas. So for now, what we have managed to do in Kifre district is conducting like short-term training programs, and now people are more than ever are understanding the value of skilling. Because as you mentioned, unemployment rate is at all-time high. Dropout rate is
rates are very high.
It's high
very
too.
high, right? And in today's time and age, what I've seen here in Delhi, so there's a there are two different worlds which are existing. In Delhi, people are paying to get skilled. Here in Nagaland, it's like even if the training is free, they are not
willing to take it up.
You pay people to get skilled.
Yeah.
You pay them to come and get skilled.
Exactly. Like we are providing like free accommodation and everything. Still, people are not there. So now it comes to the conversation about why that is happening and what can we do to actually get things moving in that manner.
And I think we've also worked heavily with, because there's always a funding crunch, especially in our districts, right? The major complaint is that there is no money to do anything. So we've actually managed to find avenues to source funding, right, in order to enable like a new skilling infrastructure to come in here, and trainings to actually take place, even free of cost or with travel allowances. But when it comes to the question of whether Nagas are skilled, right, Yes, they are. They have very unique traditional skill sets and which go unrecognized because this is a culture of certification, let's just say. And let's say the Naga...
Or can they survive in the market, those skills?
I think, yeah, they have great potential and they also have the demand. But because the narrative of skill development is being controlled very centrally.
And to get employed somewhere else.
And to get employed
Right?
somewhere.
I think that's the main goal of this skill development.
Yeah.
Let me know if I'm wrong.
I mean, the idea is, unfortunately, they do want to take people out, but there is a lot of love for the land, right?
Yeah.
People are very closely connected to their lands here, and people sometimes don't even want to leave their districts, forget the state itself.
Yeah.
And why should the person not have the opportunity to, get skilled where he is and actually avail income at the location, right?
Yeah.
And because people are already skilled, like I said, they're brilliant with organic farming, they're brilliant with traditional handicrafts, they're brilliant with bamboo construction and things like that.
Exactly.
So these are things which actually can serve as a model, right, for other states even, right? These can be courses in which people here can be trainers already. So I mean, another effort that we've been talking about is introducing certain skilling courses which are endemic to this region, right? Rather than forcing people to learn something which might be useful elsewhere but is not in demand here. Why do you have to force them to learn something that they're already good at something, right? Putting money and resources to something which just doesn't make sense.
And I think the sad part is that people of Nagaland don't realize that how
valuable those skill sets are
and how brilliant they are in those certain arenas.
Yeah, and they can be monetized. Like that's the misconception, right? That you have to learn certain kinds of trades in order to make money out of it. But actually, there is a high demand for the existing traditional skill sets. Which
I think that's very impressive. I think people have the skills.
Yes.
That's our general understanding and our consensus that Nagas, the tribals have the skills. But the problem is the linkage with the market, and because the market decides our value. That's the fact, right? You are here because the market likes you. I mean, to work for the people. And you are skilled enough to work in the district. And when you have a skill of something, and if the market doesn't like it, it's useless. Now, will I be wrong to say that everything boils down to the market? People have the skills already. And regardless of how much skill you introduce to them, new skills, as long as there is no market, how are we going to solve that problem? This you can also participate, I mean, not necessarily from their districts, but...
So, I would say that, yes, market actually determines your value, as you have rightly put.
Yes.
But we also have to understand that we are a global economy now. So, we are not actually bounded by our geographical location. That is very true. So even if you have skill, you have to have another skill set to learn how to monetize on those skills.
Yes, monetization.
Right. So even if you are creating, let's say, for example, we are wearing this jewelry.
And that is which tribe?
That is actually a modern version.
It's a modern version,
but so there's a particular NGO in my district called Grassroots Aspirations. So
Grassroots Aspirations.
Yes,
I think she's my friend.
Oh, you know her.
Sumiho, yeah. I think she'll be happy to watch this.
This is more Sanktam, I think. This is probably a little cognac. Something like that.
It looks great on you guys.
So, like for example, her organization, they are actually tapping into the potential of the skill of the people in order to create that linkage, in order to make that product marketable. And when, like, if I am wearing this and somebody asks me where did you buy it from, I can perhaps get her more orders or something like that. So this things goes hand in hand. Like if you have the capacity to market your skill set, then you have a platform. So that is again where we need to focus on marketing, and then entrepreneurship. Like even if, let's say, people are doing tailoring in their own houses, they are doing bakery and all this, but they are not coming together, right? And they're not creating an enterprise. They don't know how to do business. Even if they are starting something, so the price is quite high, so their business is not sustainable, right? Because they want to make money as soon as possible, right? And so you have to understand these nuances in order to actually grow into that field, create a market for yourself. Market can be created actually.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic world, and there is no other option but to participate in the market.
Exactly.
But I have been told, for example, in Zuneboto, by my peers that there was no habit of selling things for money, right?
Yeah.
People actually gifted in abundance to each other. They exchanged goods, and there was sort of a communal harmony within which people lived, and there was a lot of self-sufficiency and contentment, right?
Exactly.
But now, since you are a part of the larger world and nobody can escape the markets, right? And you know, being evaluated, or like basically being evaluated monetarily, you have to kind of participate, and eventually that will also protect you, because if you aren't participating in the market, then people will find different usage of, let's say, the lands, or you know, it will get redirected to other avenues. So yeah, it is important to monetize on the traditional skill sets and kind of do that. But yeah, I mean, there is a beautiful system of like a beautiful system of economy that existed and thrived actually, which people, so I mean, people are being introduced to markets, and sometimes even forcibly, right? Some of the interventions are not absolutely essential because there is so much self-sufficiency as well. So, but yeah, you have to participate.
Great. I
in the
mean, we
market.
have theoretically understood, you know, like people have the skills and we need market, and people have to monetize their skills and make their way into the market, which is like very, very clear to all of us. Now, can you suggest what should the government of Nagaland do, or what should the people of Nagaland do in order to change a little bit, even take one step? I don't say transformation overnight. I mean, I cannot expect that. But from your experience, what do you think should the people do, provided imagining that there is enough fund? And what should the people do in order to, you know, let the skill be flaunting, or let the skill come into full bloom and make their livelihood out of it?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I just wanted to mention, like, there is this problem here. I mean, you might agree that there is a lot of tribalism, right? And people stand divided even within Nagaland. They are diverse, extremely diverse, ethnically, linguistically, and I mean, from an outside perspective, people might think, you know, bunch everybody up as one Nagaland, right? But everybody has very rooted identities down to the village level, you know. So one village might consider itself a separate unit from the other, right? So I think somewhere people, the first step as a community, I'm not talking about the government yet, but first step as a community would be to shed that, shed the differences, you know, shed that tribalism and actually collectivize. You know, and that, I mean, sometimes it becomes challenging even within one tribe, right? Because there can be divisions within clans or within block level divisions and things like that. So, but if people collectivized, it could actually provide the kind of scale you need in order to meet the demand, right? Because it's 100% sure, I am pretty sure that any product that goes out of Nagaland is going to be of high quality and demand, right? And if you want to meet that demand, then you have to collectivize and cannot think individually, right? Or to profit just one district or one tribe or my village, you know. Sometimes you just have to pool your resources and at the community level, that would be really helpful.
Interesting.
Adding on to that, I would also say that there needs to be a sense of ownership that should come from the people. So right now, right now all these welfare schemes and everything has been running from the government side, and because of which all the money which is being funded and like people actually depends on the government for providing a lot of things. Like for example, we have food and FDS scheme, then we have PMAY for housing. Like there's different sort of schemes and everybody feels entitled that they are you know, they should be getting benefit of it, which is fair and square. But otherwise, if you talk about creating a sustainable livelihood, you cannot be like, okay, this particular scheme is coming and we will get this particular amount or whatever skilling need, and then we'll go back to a village and do whatever that we have been doing. It's great that they are self-sufficient, they don't need much. But again, if you're talking about creating more avenues, then the ownership should come from people. Like even that's very what to say, even if you are creating awareness, after I have done like awareness program, and sadly not even a single person has come up to me after the awareness program as to what to do about it. Right? So there is no sense of ownership in that okay, now that I know about this thing, so how can I avail that? Or this is where I'm stuck. So they're not in that
Yeah.
sense of space.
I mean, you have to invest in yourself if you want to
Yes.
attract
Yes.
other people's investments in you,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And if there is a lot of problems that do exist, can be solved communally, right?
Right.
And which people still wait because the government has like sort of a very paternalistic, has become a paternalistic figure
Yeah.
in some ways,
Yeah,
right?
in that way, Nagaland is like a very pampered child.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have. It has. It doesn't generate any revenue from here.
Yeah.
Like it's all central funded. So it's quite a pampered child.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you have understood the reality of the state.
No, let me just add to
Yeah,
that.
please.
Add to that and say that every state in India feels like this. Central or the state government is not doing enough for us, or
Yeah.
this is something which the government will provide. We are
Yeah,
fine with it.
true,
yeah.
This attitude is there in all the states, right? Maybe it might be there stronger in some states, which are economically a little on the development front. But it's there in all the states. And with respect to linkage to the markets, I mean, out of the 6 years that I've done working, 4 of them have been in skill development mine. So I was completely in line with all the points that Sukanya and Priyanka just now made. So the market linkage thing I understood and I can connect with it very strongly. Without a market, why are we doing skill development?
Yes.
Right? Market is the place where the ultimate goal of the skill development is valued, and that is the valuation of the developed skill, right? Yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. I think yes, skill development is not that simple now. I think our viewers will also understand skill development is not just the skill itself. It comes with market, it comes with monetization, and it comes with a collectivization, and collectivization is such an interesting concept, okay? And it comes from the idea of a corporation. And we Nagas are not so much in the cooperative societies, I mean. But if you go to central part of the country, you will see a lot of cooperative societies everywhere, and they do it collectively and very meaningful. They do very such productive works, and whatever little thing that they design in the village reach the market.
Yeah.
But here is not the case. The reason could be transport and communication problem.
Yeah.
It's a huge issue, right? In other parts of the country, you can just dump into the vehicle and go to the market very easily. Here it's not the case. If you have to hire, it'll cost you your like 1 month labor charges. So it doesn't make any sense for marketing, right? Unless it is something, a digital product that is produced in the district. But we can't expect digital products in the district by they all are laymen, right? So that's a challenge I feel.
I mean, that's where the government actually can probably come
Exactly,
in, right?
exactly.
Instead of focusing in several sectors, they can actually focus on solving the logistical issues
Very
and
much.
issues with communication networks, right? And information dissemination. So especially like Nagaland could benefit a lot from just the roads. Right, and I mean, it's a double-edged sword because I personally feel like it still remains like it's the lungs, even of the northeast is probably the lungs because there has been less access, and whoever lives here lives very consciously and in tandem with nature, right? But at the same time, if we talk about market and revenue generation and increasing just basic household income, transportation, right, that would really help.
And personally, I feel Nagaland is at a very crucial stage where, so there are a lot of opportunities which are upcoming, like Kohima, the way it is, it wasn't used to be like that. And slowly but surely, all the districts are coming up to that level. Like you see Mokokchung, you see Thak, you see Woka and all those things. So that is happening. So it falls on the onus of Naga people to take the ownership and do the things themselves. Otherwise, definitely some sort of intervention will come from outside and they probably will not be as conscious ecologically as a Naga person will be about their environment, about their villages. So then again, it becomes their responsibility to understand and to actually create enterprises out of their district, out of their villages, and actually monetize on that as opposed to waiting for the development to happen, because ultimately that is going to, you know,
Yes.
not be that
Yes.
From the government side as well, like I don't know if I'm going to say something controversial, but more equitable disbursement of funds amongst all the districts,
Among all the
you know, because it just so happens that certain areas are so shockingly more developed than the other parts, right? That it seems like a failed, let's say, you know, distribution effort from the government side.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah.
we cannot dispute that. It's so true. It's so true. And some districts will have lesser, way lesser representative in the forms of constituencies. Some will have like over, you know, more than what they need also. But that's another topic. So I think we have had this conversation for quite long. So what I would like to conclude this discussion is, we know that Nagaland needs a true development. And one issue that we face, people face here is, I mean, logistic problem and transport and communication. Those are the basic problems. If these are resolved, the rest can follow like in a very smooth way, right? Because until these are resolved, then whatever effort you give in the district, it may not be as fruitful as it is in other states. So to conclude this conversation, can you speak in the tribal dialect, or if you have learned any one single word or sentence? You're from Zunebodo, so any Sema language you have learned? You're from Kifri. Sanctums are like the majority, right?
Yeah.
For
you, I don't expect you to speak tribal language, but Nagam yes. So speak one dialect, one sentence each.
Right. I'll just say, Oshikimti,
What does that
Ransom.
mean? Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
you know,
great.
for having us on the show, right? And it was a really good time having this discussion. I wish I could say all of this in the dialect, but
I know.
I need a few more months.
Exactly.
For me, it will be Chumangho. I think that's, thank you if I'm not incorrect.
Okay. I think let our viewers, anyone who is Sanctum, please let us know whether that's correct. And Sema, please let us know if that's correct.
And then one more I've learned, Yangshu, that have you eaten?
Wow, okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. I think Rishi, is for you, it's not that relevant, but we'll keep the other, for you other time. But now let's talk like as if it's a Karan Johar show, you know. One question I have for you
You're
guys
going to
is
ask those dangerous.
no, it's not
quick-fire
dangerous.
rounds.
It's not dangerous. But I would like to know, you all are single. I mean, you all are young people. I mean, we all are young people. But excluding me, what do you think about Naga men? I mean, it doesn't have to be anything. Just, you know,
Caught us
how
by
are they?
surprise.
Because the viewers, most of them are like, our viewers, most of them are between the age of 17 and 35. And I'm sure they would be really interested to know what you feel about them.
Information.
In short.
Beautiful, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay.
Very short.
I find them like very cute.
Great.
And good people to hang
Good
out
people,
with.
good people, as he said, very hospitable people,
Very
right?
hospitable,
So you feel a lot of warmth and you build connections
Immediately.
actually, you know, you feel so welcome. So it's the same, you know, with the men here as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. I mean, I'm sure viewers will be really, you know, happy hearing all this. Do you have anything to say? I mean, in your case, girls, Naga girls.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, they are some of the nicest people I've ever met. And yeah, maybe the rest of India should just come here, visit, spend time with the general population, and take more than one leaves out of their books.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and especially all ladies in the metros, they can learn a thing or two from the ladies over here.
That's wonderful. That's sweet. So we have only talked about the positive points of the people here and the state, I think. But as we go, you know, as we continue living in the state, I think we will be able to start saying even the challenges that you face and the challenges that people face. Let's say the more of the negative things and a constructive criticism we can give next time. So before you guys leave, let's make sure that we have one more round of conversation, and that's going to be, we're going to be what is the problem that we have in Nagaland, and what's wrong with Nagaland. We're going to talk about that topic. So thank you so much, guys, for joining.
No, thank you to you,
And
Ransom, for
yeah, it's
inviting
wonderful.
me to the show.
It's quite insightful, actually. Yeah, and I really appreciate you guys for actually being able to see what's happening in the ground, right? There's a lot of observation and there's lots of hard work to understand that. And you guys have started speaking and thinking like the Nagas themselves. So, yeah. Thank you so much. So, all the best to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much. Yeah.